Welcome back to Stocklabs market recaps. We'll see how we finished up the second week of August trading. So it was pretty kind of a quiet week, but also a little bit of a frustrating week in some respects, just because the market's kind of been pretty stagnant for the most part. For our major indices, we're really not getting much out of these anymore. They're kind of on their, just grind mode. Actually, gold was the top performer out of these sort of majors, up 1%, which, is a bounce back from really sort of a collapse that it had, on the last leg down. And then the Dow was up 0.88%. SPY was up 0.7%. NASDAQ didn't really do much, basically flat, up 16 bips. And the small caps are back to kind of being a wild trade. They're down over 1% this week. And you're getting a decent amount of volatility in small caps. We'll see if that sort of bleeds over into the rest of the market. But for now, it seems like the only thing you can bank on are the larger stocks, quality stocks, things like that. There's not much risk appetite in the market. Let me just go back and we'll check on our mega caps. And I think they did okay this week. They're kind of mixed. Tesla was up 2.5%. Apple was up 2%. Google up 1.5%. Microsoft 1%. And then Facebook, Netflix, and Amazon all down. Well, Facebook flat, and then Netflix, Amazon down 0.9, 1.6%. On average, they came out to up 65 bips. So, as a cohort, they were up, but, kind of a decent spread between the performance of all of them. Okay, so our industries page. Kind of mixed for the most part on all of them, except that technology and healthcare sticking out to the downside. This healthcare does seem like, I might have mentioned this before, but healthcare does seem like it sort of shows up as like getting whacked all at once, like 1 week, like 1 or 2 weeks, it'll get whacked and then maybe start bouncing back a little bit. Tech, this is not great that this is kind of sticking out to the downside, down 2% on the median basis. But, you have these sorts of weeks, especially when the bond market starts acting up a little bit. I think bonds, they sort of got whipped around the last 2 weeks after having a pretty big run. So then that starts like injecting a little more volatility into the tech sector, just because the bond yields factor into what valuations people are generally willing to pay, and tech has some of the highest valuations. So okay, subsectors, what do we have? All right, second week in a row, there's not, I think last week there was only one of these that was up 5%, and this week we have two, and really they're not anything special. Meat products, no one's trading meat products. Aluminum, kind of maybe a little bit of the reflation trade. Same thing with ag chemicals. They were close behind for a top spot, but the rest of these are not anything that exciting, in my opinion. And they start coming down. Worst performers. Okay, the semiconductors this was the top performer last week, so I think it actually gave back all and more of its gains from last week. So that's not good. Um, okay, movie theaters down, whatever. Weed down, Chinese stocks down again. There's been really a disaster trade all, maybe not all summer, but for the last several weeks. Gene editing, not its first time on this, leading to the downside basically, but it's a part of healthcare. What else? More semiconductors. So I don't know, some of the things in here, you don't really want to see semiconductors on these sort of worst performing sectors, but if it's a little bit of a low for semis, then that could be, it could be okay. I'll check out semis later after I go through some of this other stuff. Okay. Just going by market cap. So 1 to 5 billion down 94 bips. And 5 to 10 billion flat, up 4 bips. And then 79 bips for 10 to 50 billion. $37 for 50 to 100. And what's TerraCap's going to be? Up 56. Okay, so TerraCap's actually pretty close to that mega cap list that was up 65, but it makes sense. Okay, so not was kind of wishy-washy. You had the bottom two cap ranges, so 1 to 5 billion and 5 to 10 billion stuck out. 1 to 5 was down almost 1%, which kind of mirrors IWM, and then the mid caps were flat, and anything over 10 billion basically did okay. Well, not anything, but as a group, 10 billion and up did better than the smaller cap stocks. So yeah, like I mentioned before, once again, you kind of having to move up the cap range to sort of not guarantee, but to get a little bit better price action, and you're finding just more volatility on the smaller stuff. So yeah, something that's sort of been a pattern all summer, off and on, except for a couple isolated weeks or small periods. So intelligence, what is this? So yeah, we have Korea again, rare metals, home builders, leveraged home builders, and defense. So yeah, I mean, these are okay. Not anything that exciting. Let me just invert this. Okay. So nugget to the downside, bearish gold. So that's bearish gold. And Russia to the downside. So, and VIX to the downside. So it might be kind of our last week of maybe this grind mode in the market. I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems a little bit long in the tooth, and it's just really struggling to find the energy to make, a real breakout, in my opinion. So, maybe you get a little more of this into option expiration on Friday, but I think after that, maybe some of our August seasonality takes over just from, um, you know, August is typically not that great of a month. I mean, I think we're up some right now. I mean, it's conceivable that we give it all back in the second half of the month, but I don't know. I would look out for maybe the monthly high to get put in sometime this week. It's possible, just because of, or at least maybe not the monthly high, but at least some sort of high getting put in this week, and then start to look for a little bit better pullback where the market kind of reshuffles itself and finds some energy to eventually move higher again. I said I would look at semiconductors. So intelligence on SMH, which is semiconductor ETF, is okay. Up 2.5% in the next 2 weeks, but it's like 50-50. So maybe I'll check the. This is semis, but not cap weighted. It's just mostly equal weight, and this is less great. So yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe semiconductors are fizzling out here, but well, I don't know. It could be okay. We'll see. You see some of these sorts of moves down that end up recovering, but I don't know. We'll have to pay attention to that next week. So yeah, um, overall, we don't have any oversold signal right now. It's kind of close, but the price action in the market to get from here to here would be like, I don't know. It would get worse than what you're seeing now. So close looking at it like this, but not really that close. Like if you're considering, levels in the market, in my opinion. So, okay, that's it for this week. We'll check back next week, see how everything does, and good luck, everybody.